I'm TarotOracle, and this is a preview of what you get on the Patreon page. Basically, I'm making this card here, the Tower. And while we're making this card here, we can kind of discuss aspects of creating your own tarot, what's good, what's bad, what I would recommend, type of thing. I think the first main thing is to understand that you don't have to be a professional artist to create your own tarot decks. We have many decks that reuse flowers that are generated in Photoshop, that have minimal art, that are silhouette based, so you don't have to be a professional artist in order to make those. There are many tarots like this. One is the Blooming Cat Tarot. If you look at that, the Blooming Cat has much reuse of flowers, foliage from card to card. They even reuse some of the cat silhouettes in there. So it's not something that you need to be, again, a pro artist in order to use. You just need creativity, you need a good color scheme, you need to be able to tell a story and have an overall theme to the tarot deck. Another one is the Cosmic Cunt Tarot, which, you know, being kind of wild, it looks like it's an alien being birthed out of the out of the bottom of a dress. So again, this is not something we have to be a pro artist in order to create a deck. Obviously, some artistic ability does help, but I can teach you at least how to kind of go through some of that with these techniques. Now, we're using Krita, which is a free drawing software that you can use on PC, you can use it on Mac, I think you can use it on a Chromebook, Linux, pretty much anything. So I'm teaching you the techniques here. Again, the full hour and a half is on the Patreon page. I'm just going to give you a preview to see what you can, see what you can do here. So, first thing you need to do if you're going to create a tarot deck is tell a story. You must have a story to tell. I think many people will just sort of create random cards and whatnot, but telling an overall story in each card is so important, right? When I look at the card, I need to see a lifeline, a story, something to look forward to, something to look at, something that's going to bring me in and draw me in. If it looks like random art, I'm probably not going to be as excited about it as I would with something that tells a little bit of a story, right? So the user needs to use their imagination and picture themselves in that story or wonder what's going on, right? And added value in theirs as well. So once you have a story, people are going to wonder, like, what is going to happen next? Where are we in the big story of this deck? What kind of things are going on in this card? If you just have somebody staring at the screen, it's not going to be as engaging as if you have a scene, what looks like a bigger overall story. And the second thing is make sure your colors match. A lot of times we're going to use just random colors, and I don't think that's appropriate. Nobody's really going to be drawn in from that. There are many resources on the web like Coolers, link in the description by the way, which you can give it a color and it will give you a bunch of matching colors to go with it. You can also use triads, you can use sort of the four corners type of color matching, you can use opposites, or sort of the opposite side of the color wheel. A lot of things you can do for matching colors and getting an overall color scheme, but you want it to be pleasing to the eye, and that's going to take some research. You'll need to get out there, understand color theory at least a little bit, or use a site like Coolers, or there's many sites, many apps on your phone where you can input a particular color that you like, and it'll give you a bunch of matching colors to go with it. And then you use that as your overall theme, and that is going to give you a nice, pleasing color. Because most people that look at cards, they'll say, hey, I just am drawn to the colors. Even if the art isn't Picasso, even if the art isn't Monet, they're drawn to the colors. All right. The next thing is going to be diversity. The more diversity, the better. You want everybody to be able to relate. And that's my next point, is being relatable But that's kind of, they both go hand in hand. Having more diversity in your deck is obviously going to be pleasing to many people. It's going to make different people happy, and you're going to have more overall rounded tarot deck, I think. So it's important in 2022 to have some level of diversity in your deck. I think having everybody of one type or thing like that. If you don't want to bother with that, if you're not, you don't want to like, how many, how much of this, how much of that, you can always use animals. Everybody loves animals. You can, sort of look at other good diverse decks and try to figure out what's going to be a good percentage and things like that. So diversity is going to be key in any tarot deck. The next one is make it relatable. So if you have a scene and the scene contains some warrior, and he has a big sword, and he's going on an adventure, it's probably not going to be relatable to everybody. Maybe it's better to back it off a little bit and say, hey, what about a rabbit? And this rabbit is going on this big adventure to find the missing carrots that were stolen, or to get their mate that was kidnapped by some villain, or something like that. Make it relatable. In other words, if it's going to be because you'll have many technology decks that come out and they're just not relatable. Like if you don't play the video game, if you don't have this particular technology that you're excited about or whatnot, right? Video game, board game, any sort of like Magic the Gathering or something like that. If you don't play that and you have a bunch of Magic the Gathering characters, you're kind of putting yourself into a hole of only catering to Magic the Gathering people, or only catering to people with that board game, with that video game. So you want to broaden it up a little bit, make it more relatable, make it more where people can get excited about it and people can look at it and say, hey, this is nice. This is something that, that's sort of fun. It's easy to relate to. Everybody can get in that mode, or at least get in that style. And I think the last thing is to simplify. A lot of people will just make a too complex tarot deck to where it's so insanely complex that it's just too much to look at. You want your eye to have a pleasing composition. And that's another thing too, right? Not on the list, but composition. You want a pleasing composition. And there's so many free videos, free courses that you can take on composition, on how to put things into perspective, right? Do you have a 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective? Get your perspective lines out on your software and make a perspective drawing. You don't want it to confuse somebody's eye. Competition is key. You don't want their eye to wander off the left side of the canvas. You want it to stay in your thing, right? And that goes back to colors. If you have opposing colors, in other words, your composition is all green. If you want something to pop out, you want that particular thing to be red. So you don't want to like pepper random red things in a green composition, because now everybody's going to look at this complementary color scheme and their eye's going to go straight to the red. You don't really want that, right? You want something that their eye is going to move in the direction that you want it. So composition and simplification. Having too much stuff going on confuses the eye. Having a good composition, you want to get the user's eye, you want to bring it into where you want it to be rather than where they're just going to wander around. So you want a guided composition. So I want your eye to go here, then I want your eye to go there. I don't want you wandering all around. Right? So that maybe you'll have things blocking off the left corner to where eye doesn't wander off, maybe a tree, so the eye doesn't wander off the left side or right side or what have you. You want the flow to be logical. So composition is important, as well as simplification. You don't want 500 things to look at in your painting, in your drawing. You want the eye to go straight to where you want it to go, and then you want absolutely to have control. If you don't have control of the composition, you're just not going to be good. People are just going to be like, it's okay, I guess. But again, tell a story, match your colors. Most people will love a tarot deck just because the colors draw them in. Make sure you have a level of diversity. Make it relatable too. Have a strong logical composition. Use composition rules, Art 101, and as well simplify. Simplify, simplify, and simplify. You only want the pieces in your painting that bring in the user and direct them to where you want to go. And that's it. That's it for me. Again, if you want the full thing, if you want all of this explained step by step, from start to finish, every keystroke, every menu item, every brush, the logic behind what I'm doing, the reasoning behind what I'm doing, then go to the Patreon, sign up, and you get the full hour-and-a-half version of this painting. This is my tower card that, I kind of worked on. I didn't like the first version, so I needed to get another version out, a new version out. You can see the tower card on the left there. The old card sucked. And so I needed to get it better. I needed to get it stronger, and that's where I went. So if you use some of these rules, if you use the compositional stuff, the story, the matching colors and whatnot, you're going to make a fantastic tarot deck that draws people in. Again, it doesn't matter your level of art skills. Many decks out there where people literally have just copied and pasted a lot of stuff, but people still like it. And that is the result. If you like this, go check it out. Get the longer version. Please, as always, hit like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate you watching my compressed version of this card. And thank you for watching. And see you in the next video.